Good morning. It's Thursday, June 11th, 2020. And this may be the 47th anniversary of the death of my father. He died in 1973 in June, and I don't remember exactly, but I think it was the 11th of June. It was just a couple of days after my sister was married in Chicago. Um, my father and the entire family gathered, of course. He walked his only daughter down the aisle at her wedding and saw all of his old friends and all, because the year before he had retired to Texas and all. And he didn't like to fly, so he drove up for the wedding with, I think it was with my younger brother, Matt. My mother and I were already in Chicago for the wedding and all. But then we were all driving back together. And we were in two cars. My oldest brother, Dan, and I were in one car. And my mom and my dad and my brother, Matt, who I think was only 16 years old at the time, were driving my sister's Volkswagen Beetle that she wasn't using anymore now that she was married, and it was being brought back to Texas, so that my father and my brother and I guess, were all going to be able to use the Beetle automobile. Well, we were almost, that's a long drive from Chicago to Texas, Tyler, Texas, where we were living. And somewhere around Texarkana, there was a big thunderstorm. And my father never liked thunderstorms either, you know. And so he was driving the Volkswagen Beetle, I remember. My mother told us this. And he began yawning. He had a heart attack, a massive heart attack, at the wheel while he was driving. My brother Matt, he slumped over in, they were on the highway, I think, you know. They were able to get the car off the road, the interstate, and I forget what the name of the town was. They saw a sign for a hospital, and my brother Matt, who I don't think he was driving a stick shift automobile at the time, he managed to get my mom and my father to this hospital. I can't remember the name of the town. I'll try to find it and post it in the video afterwards. Anyway, they got him to the emergency department, checked in and all of that. And he lingered for a day or two afterwards. He was on oxygen, and my mother and I and my brother, we all stayed at a nearby motel. And they called, I remember, and it was very, very late at night. The hospital called the motel room, to say that he hadn't passed away yet, or to come to the hospital. And so we did, and I remember being able to say goodbye to my father. He had his oxygen mask on, and he pulled it off, and he was just exhausted, you know, and I was able to tell him that I loved him. You know, he was a simple man with I don't know, he never graduated from grammar school because growing up during the Depression, he was so poor that his family couldn't afford to feed him. He had to leave home to travel on the railroad tracks as a hobo. He kept a diary of that time. One of my older brothers has it, I think, I hope. He wasn't a perfect man, but he was a good, simple man, you know, and who worked hard for nearly 30 years at the University of Chicago as a janitor. And he used to bring home books that students would leave, or, you know, in Lost and Found and all of that. We had a library in our home, you know. encyclopedias and dictionaries, all of these things, because he believed in the value of education. He put seven kids through Catholic education. No, I admired him. And I loved him, and so that's my father, John Clayton. Be fabulous.